She's penicillin penny. She's the queen of the Sunset Strip. Well, if she ever gives you any, you better see your doctor real quick.
Misty. And sometimes when I move at the edge of a greatness, a lake, or a sea, or a mountainside, my insignificance thrills me, and the largest of my sadnesses dwindles smaller than the space between grains of sand. And in that moment, knowing my place comes a love so enormous, I can love anyone, even myself.
That was pretty cool. How'd you like that? Take it. Now, if I can just figure out how to make it all stop in the appropriate framework. All right. I can't remember. Last time on the whole chilling with Sam Squanch thing, did we make it to the 6 disturbing mysteries solved with Google Maps? I cannot remember. Or have we moved on to the forest cryptids Iceberg explained? And why don't I have a Twitter chat? Why can't I find my Twitter? Like, supposedly I'm live over there and stuff. I can't find it. Okay. Well, then in that case, we're going to pick up a couple of these anyway. I don't think I'm going to do the whole video because, things and stuff. Stop it. All right. No. Skadoosh. Is that good enough? Kind of torn on this whole chat thing. No chat thing. What do you think? Chat up or down?
At around 1 p.m. on November 2nd, 2020, an 83-year-old mother of 4 named Paulette.
Hold on. There has to be a Twitter chat some freaking where because someone just chatted in Twitter. So darn it. Hey, that's me. This is my right. But how do I find the chat? So nightmarish. Get it. So confused. So baffled. Why don't I just have a chat? If I click it, what happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. Can I mute it? It's muted. I'm so baffled. Why is there no chat? I can check my analytics. Apparently, I currently have 1 view. Thank you, Diamond James. I appreciate that. I have no idea what I'm doing with this. This is all completely, yeah, right. Formerly known as Twitter. Right. Yeah, you claim to be here, but not really. I can't even find my own Twitter chat. So how did you find it? Where did you find it? At what point in time am I allowed to see my Twitter chat? I can find my live stream. It's right there. I have message agents. No, it's just postesses. Oh, this is all just very silly. Very, very silly. I'm so confused. All right, we're gonna move on because this isn't my content anyway. So, hello, Tony. Welcome in.
Paulette Landrieux mysteriously disappeared from her home in Anden, Belgium. At the time, her husband was hanging the laundry up to dry in the garden and didn't notice she was gone until later that afternoon. When Paulette's family realized she was missing, they reported the disappearance to the police, triggering a pretty big search for the missing woman. Though this wasn't the first time Paulette disappeared, as she reportedly suffered from Alzheimer's disease and would frequently leave the house at random times of the day and night without telling her husband where she was going. She was known to randomly knock on the neighbors' doors for no apparent reason, and in the years leading up to her disappearance, she no longer recognized her children or her husband. Every other time she had disappeared, her husband would find her a few feet away from the house and bring her back inside. But this time, she was nowhere to be found. During the search, 50 police officers and several search and rescue dogs were deployed to the area, along with multiple thermal vision helicopters and an entire fleet of drones. But even with all these resources at their disposal, the local police department failed to find any relevant clues leading to Paulette. After several weeks, the search was called off, and the family assumed that she had fallen into the Meuse River, which ran near her home. In October of 2022, just as the police department was about to close the file, one investigator was searching for Paulette's house on Google Street View and found something shocking. There, as luck would have it, he found a Street View image of Paulette leaving her home and crossing the...
Can you imagine that? Like, your aunt's been dead for 2 years and you decide to go check it out on Street View and it's, hey, look, there's the last known photograph of this woman before she is completely missing and gone for evers and evers. Hello, Swizz Miz. Welcome in. Good to see you. Appreciate you coming by. See, I can do that, but I can't type over here and it come out over here. I have to do this here, like this. And then put it back. It's a little clunky, but I'm still kind of working out the bugs. I was kind of hoping to find my Twitter freaking chat and add it to the stack, but I don't know. Not sure why I can't. I'm utterly baffled by this whole process. Right. Well, anyway, I figure one day that crap may actually start working, or not. I don't know what to do with it. I'm just gonna stick it over there and let it jiggle around like a dead fish doesn't. That's all I know to do. We're gonna go big screen and do the thing. But yeah, no, there she is. Last known photograph of her. So what do? Do you just wander to the end of that path and see, you look over the edge of the verge? I mean, what do you reckon about that?
The street to her neighbor's house. The case was immediately reopened, and police were once again deployed to the area. They found the body of Paulette lying at the bottom of a hill directly below the neighbor's garden. After the autopsy was performed, it was determined that the woman had fallen from an unenclosed section of the garden and died shortly after. Her final moments eerily being caught by the passing Google Street View car as she walks to her death, likely in another wave of confused state caused by her Alzheimer's disease. One thing that's hard to understand is how the police failed to see her with their drones and helicopters the first time, but at least now the family can find closure knowing what happened to Paulette, even if it comes with this eerie last image of her ever being seen alive. If you visit the location on Google Maps today, you'll find the image has been overwritten by a more up-to-date view of the town.
All right, so that question about the helicopters and drones, it does not take much ground cover at all to prevent you from noticing a human shape. You may mistake it for any number of things and just not equate it to being a person that you're looking for. You know.
In July 2011, two armed individuals broke into an empty house in an otherwise peaceful suburb of Oklahoma City. With a house full of valuables for them to steal and nobody there to stop them, the two got to work. But unfortunately for them, the looting spree was much more short-lived than they had hoped. A few minutes later, the homeowner returned and walked in on the two of them looting her house. But instead of fleeing with the valuables they had already stolen, they held her at gunpoint as they continued to ransack her home. This went on for over an hour, and during the traumatizing incident, the woman recalled thinking they were going to shoot her before leaving. Fortunately, the robbers eventually left the house without physically harming the woman. After the armed robbery, she refused to reveal her identity to the press out of fear that the thieves would retaliate.
Can you blame her? I mean, they know who they robbed, even if the press don't know who robbed them. Hey, that's that chick. She's snitching on us. Snitches get ditches.
The woman later reported the incident to the cops, but with no witnesses and an absence of solid leads, the case eventually went cold, and the woman lost hope that the two criminals would ever be found. However, 3 years later, the case took an unexpected turn. On a day in July 2014, the woman's neighbor was looking at her street using Google Maps Street View when she noticed an image of two men casually strolling down the street who perfectly matched the description the victim had given her of the criminals. Immediately, she texted the woman, who confirmed that the two men captured by the Street View van that happened to be mapping out the neighborhood on the day of the robbery were indeed the same two men who had robbed her.
Fuck you, Karen.
Based on the direction they were walking, it seems that the image was captured in the minutes leading up to the crime. Unfortunately, because the two men's faces are obscured by the grainy quality of the image and Google's software that automatically blurs pedestrians, the cops haven't been able to track the men down. But with a string of clues and a picture to add to their search, police now have a much better chance of catching the two thanks to Google Maps. One night in
So how about that? Like, it's like coming across a ghost of the attackers that once were. It's like, oh, there they are, but Google protects them because, faces. Believe that trash? I don't know, man. So do you think Google should be blurring out images of people's faces just because they're on camera? Isn't that car in public? Shouldn't it be able to film whatever it views in public with no problems? I don't see the problem. Do you see the problem? What's the problem with them filming faces?
In October 2006, a 72-year-old man named David Lee Niles met up with a friend at Jake's Bar in Byrontown, Michigan. This was a place that David visited frequently and usually stayed there for at least a couple of hours, but on that particular evening, the story was very different. Earlier that year, David had been diagnosed with cancer, and after a brief conversation with his friend,
You see that light? That light is the reason why there's so many UFO sightings. It's things just like that. Because for a second there, I was like, beam me up, Scotty.
and he left abruptly, claiming that he was in a lot of physical pain due to the cancer. That was the last time anyone ever saw him. When his family failed to get in touch with him, they reported him missing to the police, leading to a statewide search that ultimately led nowhere, as the cops couldn't find any clues as to where David could have gone. In 2011, 5 years after his disappearance, his family lost hope and accepted the idea that David was gone. The obituary they published online read, "David Lee Niles, age 72 of Wyoming, passed away and only God knows the time and place." The case went completely cold until almost a decade later when a new twist shed light on David's disappearance. One morning in November 2015, Brian Hausman, an employee of the Cook Funeral Home in Byron County, was decorating the company Christmas tree outside. When he got to the top of the tree on his lift to put up the star, he noticed something in the adjacent pond that looked like a submerged car. Immediately, he called the police, and using Google Maps from a bird's eye view, they were able to see the same outline that was described. A dive team was deployed to the area, who confirmed that there was in fact a car at the bottom of the pond. Later that morning, a wrecking crew pulled out the vehicle for the police to inspect. Inside the vehicle, the cops found the skeletal remains of a man, along with a wallet belonging to David Lee Niles. After it was confirmed that the skeletal remains were his, David's family members finally found some closure. Still, the case remains a mystery, as it's unknown what exactly happened to him. Even before his cancer diagnosis, David was known to have severe depressive episodes, and things understandably got a lot worse for him after he found out about the illness. With all this in mind, it's possible that he took his own life, but we'll likely never know for sure.
Why is that always the assumption, right? I mean, homie could have had a heart attack. He was old enough. He could have had a stroke, like restarted right out. We don't know.
In the 80s and 90s, Gioacchino Gamino was one of Italy's most wanted gangsters. He operated within a Sicilian mafia clan in Agrigento that was embroiled in a feud with Cosa Nostra, Sicily's main mafia network. He was first arrested in 1984 for murder and various other mafia-related crimes, but was later released shortly after. In 1998, he was arrested again in Barcelona, only this time he was sentenced to life in prison. After serving 4 years of his prison sentence at a prison in Rome, he managed to escape in 2002 during a commotion at the prison. Following his escape, he immediately relocated to a town near
West
Madrid, Spain,
Side!
and changed his name to
Welcome in, girl. Good to
Manuel
see you.
Mormino.
Appreciate you coming
Over the
by.
20 years that he was on the run from the police, he got married, worked as a chef at a restaurant called Manu's Kitchen, and even opened
Plot twist, that was the valet who stole his wallet before homie ran off with his young wife.
up a fruit and vegetable shop called Manu's Garden. Sicilian police searched everywhere for him for years, and they eventually issued a European arrest warrant back in 2014. After carrying out several investigations, the police suspected that Gamino was hiding somewhere in Spain, but the way they pinpointed his exact location was pretty out of the ordinary. During the investigation, Sicilian police found that Google Maps had captured a street view image of two men talking outside of Manu's garden. One of the men looked extremely similar to the man they were looking for, but the cops only confirmed his identity when they came across a listing for Manu's Kitchen, the restaurant where Gamino worked. While investigating online, the police found a photo of him dressed in chef's attire on the Facebook page for Manu's Kitchen. After confirming his location, the police arrested Joaquino Gamino on December 17, 2022.
Yeah, I posted my picture of the restaurant I work at, and I got arrested for murder because I murdered a guy. I don't see it.
And extradited him to Sicily, where he is currently serving life in prison. According to the police, when they arrested him, Gamino was extremely confused and even had the nerve to ask how they found him when he hadn't even called his family in 10 years. In 2009, police from Zurich, Switzerland were carrying out an investigation to shut down illegal marijuana growing operations all over the country. At some point in the investigation, they used Google Earth to locate the addresses of two farmers who they suspected of being part of an illegal marijuana operation. And that's when one of the detectives found something interesting. As he was scanning the area on Google Earth, he noticed an unusual change in the pattern of the fields around Rapperswil in the northeastern state of Thurgau. Zooming in, he saw what appeared to be a cannabis plantation that measured more than 2 acres and was hidden inside a cornfield right next to one of the farmers' houses. The Google Earth discovery ultimately led to the arrest of 16 people and the seizure of 1.1 metric tons of marijuana, as well as 900,000 Swiss francs in cash, which is the equivalent of around $1.1 million. According to the police report, the drug ring allegedly sold up to 7 tons of marijuana between 2004 and 2008, bringing in from 3 to 10 million francs a year. When asked about the breakthrough, the head of Zurich Police's Special Narcotics Unit, Norbert Glossner, said it was an interesting chance discovery. Since then, the cannabis plantation has been plowed over as recreational marijuana continues.
I don't like that idea. That's not my favoriteest thing. I mean, they could have kept the weed. I mean, after all, it would have left no turn unstoned.
Used to be illegal in Switzerland. This incident happened at a home in Derbyshire, England, where David and Rebecca Soanes lived with their 2 children, Lauren and Reuben. In 2009, the family bought a caravan to travel across the country, but it was unfortunately destroyed shortly after when a joyrider crashed into it. A few months later, they bought a new $15,000 caravan to replace the old one, which they left in their driveway. In June of that year, Rebecca came home one day to find the caravan had disappeared, after which she immediately reported the incident to the police. However, with no solid leads, the cops couldn't really do anything about it, and the case went cold pretty quickly. It wasn't until 9 months later, in March of 2010, that 11-year-old Reuben Soanes found something revealing as he was looking at his house on Google Maps. Using the street view, he found an image of a male intruder on the family's driveway, standing suspiciously outside of his 4x4 vehicle.
Any man on earth can tell you that this man is just about to pee in these people's driveway. That is what's fixing to take place here. It kind of looks like Claiborne Transparency stole somebody's caravan, yo. I mean, like, was that you, dude? Were you over there stealing somebody's caravan? I don't think it was. I don't think you're that kind of dude.
After a bit of investigating, the family found that the image had been captured by the Google Street View car just moments before the caravan was stolen. Around that time, a neighbor also came forward saying that he had seen the same man towing the caravan on the day of the robbery, but thought that it was a family friend and didn't think it was important to tell the family about it. With such a clear image of the suspects, the Sones thought it would be easy for the cops to solve the crime, but it turned out to be much more difficult than expected to get an unblurred image of the 4x4's license plates from Google. Even though the police knew exactly what the thief looked like, it was never publicly confirmed if they managed to track him down or not.
Have you ever felt that feeling?
All right, so I'm losing signal somehow. That's not good. Hey, it's back. Groovy. Damn, even my phone shut down for a second. Wild. All right, so this next bit goes to Zonefly. We've covered a couple of his videos in the past. He's always got pretty good. Okay. He's always got pretty good, at least his icebergs seem to be okay. He's not completely annoying, but this is a pretty long one. So this might actually take us through the rest of the hour. I don't know. Probably because I talk a lot and I can't help it. Did kind of look like you, didn't it? You be stealing caravans in your off time, dude. You peed in their driveway, didn't you? I seen it.
When you're out in the woods, away from humanity, that something is out there hiding? It could be just another small creature of your imagination, but what if it wasn't? Humankind has been spotting unknown creatures in the forest for centuries, and throughout these encounters, there have been a bunch of cryptids noted in the history books. So we'll be covering a bunch of those cryptids in this video, being the forest cryptid Iceberg.
Hold up.
All right.
Let's take a look at that little list right there at the very beginning. The Dover Demon. I'm not even going to try to say that one. The Beast of Bray Road. The Nandi Bear. The Mapinguari, which seems to be in here twice for some strange reason. On tier 1 twice at that. Then we have the Wendigo. I'm not even going to try to say that one. The Mandi Barung. The Aurul. Almas. Algagwe. Nukluk. Green Clawed Beast, the Enfield Horror, Bat Squatch. No relation. Beeman Monster, the Grafton Monster, and the Nitty Tiger. And something called a Capri. So
we'll be covering a bunch of those cryptids in this video, being the forest cryptid Iceberg. Alright, let's get straight into the video now with the first entry of tier 1, Skunk Ape. The skunk ape, which sort of looks like Bigfoot, is a creature said to inhabit Florida's Everglades. The cryptid is described as a large ape-like being covered in hair, standing over 6 feet tall, and notorious for its foul smell, which you can tell from the name is similar to a skunk. The earliest known sighting dates back to 1957, when hunters in the Everglades reported a gigantic, smelly ape invading their camp. This event marked the beginning of numerous sightings across.
Best description I can give for it, what I've smelled, was like, everybody knows that real drunk dude that sleeps on your buddy's couch over there and doesn't ever really do anything but sit around, drink beers, and stink. Well, it's like he ate too many cabbages and took his boots off. It's funky. If you've ever been to the monkey house at the zoo and you smelled BO, it's like a mixture of BO and really rank cabbage. A skunk ape.
Across Florida, with some of the most notable incidents occurring in the following years. In 1973, a family claimed to have seen a skunk ape chasing their child off a tricycle. The following year, another family reported hitting one with their car, presenting hairs from the offender as evidence. And even in 1997, a group of 30 to 40 people on a tour bus described seeing a 7-foot, red-haired ape running through the Everglades. The skunk ape's legend goes beyond these sightings though. Indigenous tribes like the Muskogee and Seminole have long spoken of a creature known as Kapki. According to the beliefs, the skunk ape watches over those who enter the forest and uses mystical powers to vanish. With all this, the skunk ape has become a popular figure in Florida culture, used as an unofficial mascot for wilderness and rural culture. It has appeared in roadside businesses, television commercials, and even in social distancing promotions during the COVID-19 pandemic. The skunk ape is also a subject at conferences, trail running events, and other gatherings. Yowie. The Yowie is a creature said to inhabit the Australian wilderness. It's been a subject of Aboriginal folklore in numerous settings across Australia, particularly in Queensland, for quite some time. One of the most notable modern-day sightings of the Yowie occurred when a man driving across the Gold Coast in eastern Australia reported seeing the creature crouched over the highway. This
All right. So the Yowie has a number of different, like many of the Australian cryptids, has different descriptions depending upon which part of the country you're in. In the southeastern Brisbane area, it's typically a freaking Sasquatch. It's a Bigfoot, a skunk ape, maybe not as big or whatever. Favors your sister. Damn, dude. Oh boy, I can't even like you just got the participation trophy of the night, bud. Yes, sir. Let's just put that in a place of honor.
report is
Wow.
one among many that have been documented, especially in areas like New South Wales, which is considered the Yowie capital of Australia. Sightings of the Yowie have been reported along highways running through the interior, stirring up curiosity and fear among locals and travelers alike. The Yowie is described as an ape-like creature with muscular build, long arms, and often covered in shaggy hair. There are reports of two types of Yowie. The first one is said to grow up to 10 feet tall.
Are you talking about the billy ape? Billy apes of the Congo. Bigger than normal chimps. Yes, sir. More aggressive.
While the other is
called the
smaller, around
lion-killing
4 to 5
apes.
feet tall. Despite varying descriptions, a common theme in these accounts is the creature's mysterious nature and its ability to move swiftly through the bush. In another incident, Dean Harrison, a researcher who has been investigating Yowie for years, shared his personal encounter in 1997. While jogging at night in southeast Queensland, he experienced a chilling moment when he sensed a massive silhouette sneaking up on him from the bush. He described feeling an overwhelming sense of dread and seeing a massive shape, reinforcing his belief in the Yowie's existence. Dover Demon. The Dover Demon, a mysterious creature sighted in
All right, so the Dover demon doesn't really fit the cryptid genealogy quite as well as it does the alien gray genealogy. The description, other than the red glowing eyes and the webbed feet and the fact that it kind of crawled on all fours, fits a gray alien a bit more than it does your typical cryptid type things.
Dover, Massachusetts, remains as one of the most intriguing cryptid cases out there. Over 2 nights in April 1977, 4 teenagers reported seeing a small, gangly, hairless creature with distinct features. The first sighting was by 17-year-old William Bartlett, who, while driving with his friends on the evening of April 21st, spotted the creature on a stone wall. His account describes the creature as having glowing eyes, a large, egg-shaped head without a mouth, ears, or nose, and long, thin fingers. Bartlett's sighting lasted only about 7 to 8 seconds though, but his detailed drawing of the creature became iconic. About 2 hours after Bartlett's encounter, 15-year-old John Baxter reported seeing a similar creature. Baxter was walking home when he saw a shadowy figure, which he initially thought was a friend because of its large head. As they approached each other, the creature ran into a gully.
What kind of friend you got because you got such a big fat head? Is that really you, dude? Throw me some gang signs. That's good enough, bro. What's up, baby?
What do we got here now?
It's aliens. We are observating a video on specifically the forest cryptid icebergs, all of the different little cryptids associated with being found in the forests from all over the world. And so he's got them arranged in most likely to least likely tiers from, you know, those that are just slightly unusual, like skunk ape and whatnot, all the way through to like the freaking the flatbush monster and stuff like that, where they're like bullywugs or something.
Yeah, they're from different areas in Mexico.
Some of them, I'm sure. Swiss Miss says hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Welcome in, bud. Do you have any particular opinion about cryptids in general?
I think there's a lot of animals out there that aren't cataloged yet. There's still a lot of open space out there.
Yeah, it's not nearly as crowded as everyone wants to pretend now, is it?
No, it isn't. It's the first time I noticed that when I got my pilot's license and I was flying around, there is a lot of land out there that is not occupied. People gather in clusters. It's very rare that you get, small groups in the middle of nowhere, unless they're, your religious fanatics like the Jehovah Witness. And not even them. They hang out in cities, but your Amish, things like that. Your Baptists.
They gather together in groups that are 100 to 200 before they cleave off into a new group.
Yeah.
So I mean, the issue we have is supply and demand issues, not a population issues. These cities may be becoming overpopulated. That has nothing to do with the rest of the earth. That's just these little areas here, there, and there.
Yeah, the world is definitely a big place. I mean, it's an easy thing to just disappear out there. It's just that people are brought up in clusters and they just don't know any different. Very few get to walk outside of the line, step out of line and see what's actually there and see reality. Even in Europe, it's still wide open.
So many of these missing 411 cases, when I'm going through and looking at the different disappearances and how they disappeared, and they always talk about, well, there was a rocky area, there was water, there were berries, and there was a stream, and it snowed. I remember this one time I went fishing in a canoe. And when I got out of the canoe and moved my little pack out of the canoe, I twisted my freaking ankle. It wasn't even very bad, but it was bad enough that I couldn't walk on it exactly. And so I had to canoe back to the nearest point to my house and then basically kind of half hop, half hump my way through a half mile of freaking brush and open field before I got close enough to anywhere that someone could see me. And if at any time during that trip I had encountered some coyotes, a snake, a particularly fetid mushroom, that would have been the end of it, I'd have been a missing 411, just poof gone.
Yeah. But it's so easy to live. I mean, people that you gotta have a brain, you could survive in the woods. I mean, if you're around trees, I mean, it blows me away that people starve out in the woods. I never understood that.
After 72 hours or so, your average person in the modern day is going to be dehydrated or infected by some form of parasite from something they should not have eaten or something they should not have drank. Most people, because most people don't realize what is and isn't potable.
Yeah.
So
there's not a convenience store out in the woods.
Yeah. And like the swamps I come from specifically are called blackwater swamps for a reason. They have such a high tannic acid content that they typically don't carry any microbes. Yep. It's almost sterile. That does not cover chemistry though, because there's a lot of farms and pig farms and cow farms and dairy farms, all kinds of stuff. So pretty much any body of water you come across will be chemically contaminated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like even if you see a bunch of trees, you could take the bark off the tree, you get your pocket knife out, and you just shave some of that soft tissue that's on the outside, not where it gets to hardwood, but before the hardwood and under the bark. That's very edible there. And you get all these trees and you see people starving out in the wood. It just blows me away. And, as long as you can get yourself a little fire going, you can almost cook it like a steak. You get a caramel, But,
yeah. But you can't eat just any old tree. It kind of depends on where you're at. The farther north you go, the more likely it is to have that type of tree. If you try that with a red oak, you'll shut down your kidneys. You got to boil. You got to boil the tannins out, try that around here and you'll have a problem. You go to the desert Southwest, you'll have a real problem. Try chewing on some mesquite, see what you get.
Well, no, yeah, but see now, and you're dealing with extreme environments. But if you're living in an extreme environment, you're going to have that kind of knowledge off the top of your head. Yeah,
you should have that.
And you know what? If you're not used to an environment, you should have the basic understanding that you're in a foreign place. This ain't your hometown. This ain't your homeland. You need to know the ecosystem. You can't just think you're going to walk out into the middle of the desert after living in New York City for your entire life. You just can't do that. But
I mean, I come from a very rural background. Like, I spent a lot of time alone in the woods growing up. A lot of the things that would creep out most people, I take as a matter of course. Like, being alone in a city at night in the dark terrifies me. Being alone in the woods in the dark and alligator snake infested environments, well, hell, that's just another Tuesday. I'll take me a nap in the canoe. We'll be there when I wake up. Don't do that. That is, I disavow. Do not sleep in a canoe ever.
Now, you got bot flies down there by you? Or no?
Not that I've ever found.
All right.
I've never actually seen any. I hear tell, and I've never actually seen one. So yeah. I think I'm a hair too far north for that stuff. So we'll see with this whole global warming thing. Might go our way.
Yeah, I don't think you have anything that's. You got the spiders.
Oh, dude, we got spiders, baby. We got, and I hear tell we have scorpions, but I've never actually seen a scorpion in the wild. Remember, I live in a swamp. Mm-hmm. We don't really have scorpions underwater. That's not really a thing. So
yeah, they're called crayfish, huh?
Right. That's not a scorpion. That's dinner. That's a totally different equation. But I hear tell that you get a little bit further north up here in the rocks of the Appalachians, they're everywhere. You get a little bit further south in like the sandy bottoms, and they're everywhere. But here, because we have a whole bunch of like beaver ponds and stuff, we're in foothills, and the water gets about as high as the top of the foothills. So there's just not a lot of scorpion to talk about. We have snakes.
You got any bad ones down by you?
We're just far enough south that we occasionally pick up a couple of pythons a year, maybe a rosy boa or something wandering around.
Yeah. I know by me we have the copperhead and the brown. Those are the two we have to worry about here.
Dude. We've got rattlesnakes of virtually every description. We're on the very edge of the pygmy rattlesnake from Florida, and also the very edge of the timber rattlesnake up around y'all. So we catch eastern diamondback, timber rattler, pygmy rattler. There's a weird like gray muck color morph that's been found a few times. I don't think it's a species. It's just a mutation.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're out and about, the chances of run across one of these things are pretty remote.
Yeah. Okay. I had
unless you're running from something, then it's the most likely thing in the world, But,
right. As soon as it's the worst thing that can possibly happen, you're got. That's right.
When you're running from something, it's like the whole damn. It's karma. It's not just a congregation of people after you. It's like they send out a vibe into the universe, and every nasty bug and critter is on the lookout for you, and you're going to stumble across the damn thing.
So, when I was about 8, there was this area of out behind one of my neighbors, and when I say I'm a neighbor, I mean like a couple of miles away from where we live was the next place over there. And there's maybe 5 acres back there that was a bunch of really thick old growth forest, and they clear cut the whole thing. And in the process of doing it, they ran roads out through it to be able to get to all the lumber and stuff. And so after it got clear cut, my mom would gather up bunches of kids. We'd go out there and just walk the trails and stuff, kind of a hike, take you a drink, maybe a sandwich, just go wander around, look at stuff that's changed since the last time we went through there. And we're walking along. There's like 8 of us. I don't even remember who all was with us, but we're walking along and we come across this point where the road goes across a creek. And of course, we're not going across the creek, but they hadn't cut the trees directly next to that creek for whatever reason. And so there was trees and low bushes right there. And I mean, when I say creek, I mean like maybe 2 foot wide. It's just wide, a canal, really.
Mhm.
There was a snake that went from out of sight on one side of that creek into the water, across it, up the other side to out of sight into a hole. And we stood there and watched it for a minute. And I just kind of shook my head and was like, "Nope, nope, just no." We just turned around and walked out and mentioned it to a few people, but they all said that we was nuts. But now we've got anacondas and stuff in Florida, and I maybe think I wasn't so nuts. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you just might have seen some of the first ones to get up your way.
well, we used to have this real crazy dude who kept snakes that lived a ways upstream on the series of beaver dams I lived down. And I don't know what happened to all of his snakes. I know he used to have like 150 snakes up there, and he worked for different like zoos and museums and stuff for I don't know what happened to his stuff. I just know his old house is sitting up there. It's done caved in. It's got a tree through the middle of it. For all I know, he died in that thing and is still sitting in there. I couldn't tell you. And I'm not going to look neither, because that man had every snake known in Georgia and a few that ain't. So, no, sir. No.
Well, no, if it works that way. I mean, if you're in a rural area, I mean, it's not like that far off. It's not that crazy of a thought to think that that just might be the case. It could happen that way.
Well, I was going to say earlier, the whole skunk ape question is kind of a moot point at this point, because we know there's a handful of both macaques, spider monkeys. There's possibly a breeding population of orangutans that have gotten loose in Florida. And so whether or not the skunk ape exists is no longer a question. It's there. It's just, how is it existing? We need to document it.
Well, it adapts, so.
Well, I mean, orangutan is brilliant when it comes to how smart a creature is. They are on par with like a 5 or 6 year old child in some cases.
And I mean, there's primates in cold environments, so it might be a different breed there, but I mean, it's in the genes for them to survive in those kind of environments. So, I mean, it's a very good possibility. You give them a nice, free of predator grounds, they're gonna populate.
Yeah, given the opportunity and enough food. I just kind of find it funny that the Everglades was where it happened. I would have figured it'd have been up around the Okefenokee, but they got loose in the Everglades and seems to have just stayed there. But there's billions of little islands out, and there's those little grassy forever places.
Yeah, you know what? People don't realize how big the Everglades is, and they don't comprehend. I mean, that's a good portion of the state there.
It's like 57% undrained, unaltered Everglades is 57% of Florida. And then like another 40% is altered Everglades, which range from still flooded grasslands all the way through to your downtown suburban park.
Yeah, that looks like I mean, when you're thinking of like Jurassic Park and things like that, that's what the Everglades looks like. And whenever you fly over in a plane, you might see a dirt road that was built going through a certain section. But I mean, it's all, you need one of those fan boats. What's that?
There might be a road there. There might be a road, but if there's a canal, then it's boats that go through. That's what you typically notice. If there's a canal, there'll be a high spot right next to it where the dirt that they dug was put, and there'll be trees on the high spot.
Yeah. Because I flew out of Clearwater on a test flight, and we had a single prop plane, and I mean, there's like fire lookouts, like spread out all over there, and you could get to them and you could stay there, but yeah, that's quite the big area. That's amazing to
it's
see. I
impossible.
didn't know it was that big. I didn't know it was like 57% in Florida. I thought
It's
it was
an
a quarter.
enormous section. Almost no. There's yet again we have the same issue we have with perception, right? People see a whole bunch of people in a given area and they think, oh well, we're running out of space, and that's not the case at all. What's up, truth be told? Welcome in, bud. Yeah, we had a no show on the show tonight, so I'm doing things. Show must go on, you know.
Mm.
And I'm still running to like 3 different platforms, although I never could find my Twitter chat. I have it on good authority. It is over there. The live stream exists, but apparently I can't chat in it. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, another thing about that, the Everglades pretty much cuts off the southern half and the northern half of Florida. I mean, you got northern Florida, central Florida, and then you got the Everglades. Then you have Miami. I mean, that's a big
northern Florida is basically southern Okefenokee. That is the last gasp of the Appalachian Mountains. It plunges beneath the silt and sand of the eroded seacoast and becomes basically continental plate at that point. And not until you get to southern Florida, almost to the Keys, and get onto like the Bimini plate, do you come across another high spot high enough to call land.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful country down there.
It is, but I mean, good God, dude, Florida is so rude. Like every mosquito known to man just attacks you all at once. It's not like it is here where we have like one mosquito type that can survive the winters around here, and they do quite well. And then they attack you in the spring like really hard, and then they leave you alone. At least they do me.
They thrive.
In Florida, even I get bit by mosquitoes, and mosquitoes don't bother me. I mean, I've just never been bothered by them for whatever reason. They do not come chew on me like they do most people, but I've lived in the swamp all my life. I figure it's just either I'm used to them or they're used to me. Get it whichever way it works best.
Smokers and people with low vitamin B levels don't get bit by mosquitoes as much.
I've also heard that people who eat spicy food, people who drink large amounts of vinegar, people who there's all kinds of various reasons, especially if there's someone else available. If there's anybody else in the room,
yeah, choice.
Yeah, you give them a choice, they'll bite anybody but me. What's up, North Alabama Cryptid, Mr. and Mrs. Knack? About them apples.
What is the latest find in cryptobiology?
All right, so a couple of months ago, there was a bit of dung picked up in Tasmania that might be from a thylacine. It was apparently rabbit fur and bones, and was so dried out that they couldn't actually get anything but the DNA of the rabbit from it, is the story I'm getting. But I say we wait and see. There's no reason to think the thylacine is extinct except for the fact that people can't see them. Tasmania is a very big place and there's almost no one there. And with the advent of beavers being introduced, thylacine now, and rabbits, they now have a massive supply of food that was not previously available to them. And there's really no dingoes or anything there to balance the equation. And yet we know that the populations of rabbits and beaver have been kept in check by something.
Yeah, it's one of the most difficult places to get to in the world.
Yeah, you're not going to accidentally stumble up on the coast of Tasmania. I mean, that's not a thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just no.
Yeah, I'm waiting one of these days. I'm going to wake up after a night of drinking and say, wow.
Being in Tasmania?
I'm where? How the?
Dude, come get me on your way through. We'll go have a hell of a time. We'll steal a boat. We'll be pirates. Arg. I've even got an eye patch, man. I'm already prepped. I got a sword. I got the whole kit, bro. All we need is the boat and a first mate.
Yeah, no shit. I'm missing a tooth. I mean, I can look badass, man.
I can even whistle when I talk. Hey.
Oh, man.
What's up, Princess OPD? John Denicola. Welcome in. Good to see y'all. Country Boy Archaeology. I don't think I said hi to you.
I haven't seen AJ around in a while. She disappeared.
No, she popped in. She popped in earlier, long enough to realize that the guest wasn't showing up, and then she dipped. I guess she dipped. She might still be over there. I got 20 people in here, so she might be there. Got about 5 people chatting there.
Yeah, I haven't given anyone a hard time lately. I'm thinking about, trying to get onto one of her channels and giving her a hard time, maybe do some stalking or something. But I'll see what happens. Rumble is a pain.
Yeah, Rumble causes all kinds of issues. But let me tell you, hold on. Let me break it down. I've spent the last 2 weeks splitting everything between YouTube and Rumble and X, right? I've done a little bit just on Rumble. I've done a little bit just on X, and a little bit, and most of it on YouTube at some point in time or nothing exclusive, right? I am pulling down similar numbers on Rumble that I pull down on YouTube in 2 weeks. And I've been working on this channel for 3 years now?
Yeah, I don't know. Because, it's the channel. I set up another channel on YouTube, and I post the same damn videos. On one channel, I'll get 300 hits, 300 views, and on the other one, I'll get close to 10,000 almost every single time. Go figure that one out.
No, I'm telling you, dude, YouTube can control absolutely every aspect of everything you see in front of you. They have the algorithm set up to specifically compartmentalize you. And when you set up a different profile that is totally separate, not linked to yourself at all, you suddenly see a brand new YouTube that didn't exist for you before because it's all curated by YouTube. So the only way I know out of that is the kind of show that I'm doing where we go to individual creators and I go, look, you have to break out of the box that YouTube puts you in, or you will sit here with however many subscribers you pick up a year. I know people who have sat there with 90 subscribers for 3 years that have blown up in the past year just because they did different stuff than what they had previously been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to need a little bit more than that, honey. You have to show me some gang signs or some kind of something. That's good enough, baby. That'll do. See there? She exists.
What's up, ATL? I saw your ass up here, so I knew I had to jump on real quick.
You saw my ass, huh?
I saw your ass.
Starting some shit with me?
I saw your ass. How you doing?
All right, where you been?
Sick.
Aw. I'm sorry.
No,
Did you have the COVID?
No, I didn't have the COVID. Just mommy sick. I take care of everybody all week who's been sick, and then mommy gets sick. Nobody takes care of mommy.
Oh, so women problems, huh?
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not complaining. It's all good.
Why are you so mean?
Throw your shit and wave them like you just don't care. What?
I had a really bad flu for a couple of days. I thought I was gonna die.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, everyone got hit with it. I got mine on December 23rd.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Now, survived. Damn it.
How's the baby going?
She's good. She's being a pain in the ass right now, but it's all good.
Oh yeah. How big is she now?
She's like 18 pounds, 26 inches long, 6 months old, starting to do the army crawl.
My grandbaby just stood up and took off running the other day. She kind of skipped the whole walking process. She was like 1 step, 2 step, I want a cookie.
How old is she?
Year maybe. You're not good enough. I don't know. I have no. It's not my kid, dude. They just bring
Yeah,
it
you
by.
didn't prepare for your show.
I mean, what do you want me to do? Follow it around with a leash? I mean, I give them money and they go away. That's the deal.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh,
that
I hope Justice, starts walking because I'm tired of carrying her fat ass. So
Hey,
Yeah,
AJ, you ever think 3 years ago you'd be here?
no,
Yeah.
but I am.
anyone else depressed by that statement?
Shut your mouth.
It's just me.
Tag West Side Girl.
I figured surely I'd have my channel mute from orbit by now.
Hey, when the guy upstairs still wants something from you, he makes it happen.
Well,
suppose.
it can't happen no more.
I've heard that before.
Oh,
You
they
know,
ain't
there
no
was
baby.
this
You
one
gotta.
guy-
I don't have all the things to make a baby no more.
But there was this one guy, this one time.
Listen, there was a girl I worked with down from Florida, but that's not the relevant part of the conversation. And she had the parts removed, not only removed but burned. 5 years later, she had a baby girl.
It do be like that sometimes.
Don't think everything is 100% because it's not.
So none of those cream pie gangbangs you were telling me about.
I don't know what kind of sick shit. I'm eating chips here. I don't want to hear about that.
I was just about to say what you eat now.
You have a sandwich with some mayonnaise on it, are you?
What? What? Something with mayonnaise on it, you?
I really lost my appetite now.
Oh yeah, there you go. Figured it'd be crunchy.
You ever go out there into the wilderness and look for extinct animals, AJ?
Not extinct animals, but I do go out into the wilderness. I mean, I do every time I'm on the Caucasian show. Shit.
Well, what do you mean by going out into the wilderness? Are we talking about going to a different part of town, or are we going into the woods?
It could be a different part, either or.
All right,
I've
so
done them
you
both.
get,
I get
so
around.
you're getting all physiological on me. Yeah. Well, have you or not?
Yes,
What's
I
wrong with you?
said, sir. I said yes.
Yeah, but you gave me nothing afterwards. You just cut it off like that.
What else is there to say? You asked a
There's
question,
no
I
love
answered.
here. I was looking for a little reciprocation. A little smooth.
Well, then ask a more deep
ear.
question.
Oh my God, I gotta take it out of you, huh?
All right. Basically, he wants to know if you've ever found anything unusual, strange, or odd in your wilderness adventures of the great Texas flat plain space.
Odd, strange, no, but I did. Well, I don't know if you would call a big, 4-foot boa constrictor odd.
That's odd.
But yeah,
depending on the type of boa, I mean,
I don't know. I didn't get that close.
Is a corn snake a boa?
A what?
A corn snake?
Yeah, it's a member of the Boidae. Yes.
Okay. Do they have big snakes in Texas? Like
Yes.
reptiles, not people.
Dude,
Yes.
they got the rattlesnake.
Everything is bigger in Texas, ATL. Don't you
Didn't
know
you
that?
know? I ever tell you about the dude from Texas that my dad drove around for a while? So, dude comes in from Texas. We go pick him up at the airport, bring him out to where the hunting club is. And we're sitting around waiting on him. He gets everything stacked up in the lodge. He looks over at Pops. She's like, "Can you take me to town? I'd like to get some drinks and stuff to put in." Cooler was like, "Cool." Hop in the truck. We head towards town. Get everything we need. We're heading back out there. And we get a little ways down the road out of town, and a deer runs across the road. And he goes, "Was that a dog or something?" Nah, man, that was a white-tailed deer, the little smaller mule deer and stuff. Man, that couldn't have been a deer. Deer in Texas way bigger. Got a little further down the road. Pig runs across the road. It's a pretty big pig. Nothing right home to mama about, but of course, dude pipes up. Man, what was that? A baby? I'm like, no, it's pretty much a grown pig. He goes, couldn't have been, man. Pigs are way bigger in Texas. We got down near the creek, and there was this great big alligator snapping turtle crossing the road. Pops never bumped the brakes. He rolled right by it, didn't say a word. Dude jumped up in the seat, looked behind. What the hell was that? Pop said a tick. That man never said another word about things in Texas being bigger.
That's something. How is it down there in Texas now?
It's 8:00.
No, I mean the environment. What do you think is going on around the world?
Well, I mean,
Down in
our
Texas,
border's
or-
crazy. We're being infiltrated.
What?
Subversion.
Invaded.
You're
Oh
being
yeah, this is
devastated.
definitely You know, I want to tell you something. I'm very impressed with the circumstances as it stands. When they said the South will rise again, it never crossed my mind we'd carry Texas and Minnesota. I just didn't see that one coming, bro.
No, we got a lot of them here.
Well, that's because what's his name? Abbott is sending them all up north. I mean,
I'm not north. I'm Georgia.
okay, you're
He's
northeast.
kind of north of you, bro. Like, don't
mean,
let.
you're
He's
northeast
the outer
of me.
territory of Atlanta. We're not counting that as the South. Hold up now. Let's put some battle lines on the fucking map here. Atlanta is
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, when I lived in Louisiana, I was told that anything above Shreveport is considered a Yankee. Shreveport, Louisiana. So I mean, if you're from northern Louisiana, you're still considered a Yankee. You have to be below that line to be considered.
Yeah, we got one of those around here called the Mason Dixon. It's kind of famous. You might have heard of it.
Yeah, we get a lot of people in the Home Depot parking lots, Lowe's parking lots. Then we got a couple of sections in town where there's a lot of people hanging out from all over the place. I mean, it's not just Mexico. I mean, it's the entire planet. It's all converged in one spot in multiple places. So I really can't say it's one spot, but that's what it came out of my mouth. But it's bad in Texas, though, isn't it?
It sure is.
Now, if you looked outside your window, would you see a bunch of illegal people?
I don't know if they're illegal or not, but I live in Little Mexico.
Really?
Little Texaco.
That's crazy. I wonder where it's going to go. Because, you see all these reports about some of these people coming across the border that, don't have our best intentions in mind. I was wondering about, I'm waiting for the, what is that, the shoe to drop or the hand to drop, something to drop.
Let's
Civil
take
War
a
to start?
look back over our history with this particular topic. This isn't the first time we came across a nation splitting conversation that took place, and we're back at the same square one we were at the first time. It comes down to the question of whether or not Texas has the right to defend its own borders, immaterial and without interest on down on all three platforms. Huh?
100%. Oh yeah, you got to worry about that. There's no free speech.
Okay.
Did you go down?
I don't know. Let's see.
Not on YouTube. I mean, I
I'm not
jumped
sure what
on
you
you're
think.
down to 10, so maybe I should get off shit.
Well, we went up to 20 while we were talking about anything other than the border.
Oh yeah. Well, it was just such a catchy topic, only because this
Not
one
for
over
you.
here in Texas.
Right? But don't you know they're insurgents?
I gotta say it a couple times in my head before I understand what you just said. I got it.
Insurgents.
Yeah, I know.
Like But here's the thing, man. How's any of this supposed to play out? I mean, it's
It's always a bad ending.
oh wow, the chat's gone.
Are you kidding?
Wild. Okay, it's back now. I think I'm just having some technical issues on this end.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't
All
be
right,
the
Mario.
Caucasian show.
I appreciate you coming by. Yeah, no, the technical issues are part of the show. I'm sorry we weren't discussing UFOs.
And yes, we saw, Mario, that you saw a UFO.
We did, and we were just trying to keep the show rolling. But if you're leaving, appreciate you coming by. Maybe get you an icon and some pictures.
Why is it every military photo comes out to be the worst ass picture in the world? I mean, someone with a camera from a video recorder from 1970 could take a better video than the videos that they, let out. Here we are, these jets and everything else with probably the most high-tech equipment on them can only take a little picture of a black dot that's swirling around. I don't know. I don't understand that.
No, I heard a good explanation for this the other day, and I haven't been able to debunk at least the concept. That the physics of it, I could shoot holes slam through because we don't know the physics behind these vehicles. Let's assume they are like non-human creations, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do not understand the technology or the physics involved in them. And so they're using stealth technology, and even our best technology only picks up part of the spectrum. And so all we get is blurry, gray, weird footage of strange looking things that we can't explain.
Yeah. Was there something more to that?
Well, I mean, it would appear that these things can at least, partially delve into separate dimensions, possibly, or are just cloaked in a way that bends our perception of light, which would only leave it visible in specific spectrums.
Because I got to tell you, every time I start seeing a story on it, it always gets my interest every single time. I've always been into that. I used to have the Pink Floyd posters, the black lights and everything else. I hear UFO stories and, mysteries of the ancient world. I'm there. And every time I see something, here I am 50 years later, and I'm still seeing the crappy old same pictures.
I get what you're saying, dude. I got one I want to cover, and if you're interested, we can do it together. We can do it as a show. The 45 LA Battle of LA.
Mm-hmm.
Like 6,000 pounds of ordnance were unloaded in various counties in California because several of these places reported seeing flying machines flying over. Thought it might be a Pearl Harbor style attack, so they just let rip with everything they had.
Yeah. Now, how in the world do they hide that situation? Why doesn't every single U.S. citizen know that story? A story that big where they had actually military shooting off up in the air.
Dude, they called a blackout condition all over San Bernardino and downtown LA. Compton was blacked out because they were worried they were going to have bombs dropped on them. Can you imagine going to Compton today and telling everybody to turn off their lights? Can you name one agency capable of pulling that off?
There's got to be a big main switch someplace to shut off the entire damn grid. There's got to be. But
that's weird. That is really weird. Apparently, I'm going down intermittently on the different platforms. Like, I did go down on YouTube for a second, but it wasn't for any particular reason. I didn't get an email. I haven't received anything from YouTube, nothing like that. That is so strange, bro. And yes, I'm aware, Carrie, there is a distinction between an alien craft and an unidentified flying object or an unidentified aerial phenomena or whatever. I saw a UFO once that I knew was not alien the second I laid eyes on it. In the early 90s, I was out with a couple of friends of mine, and we were in the middle of freaking nowhere on this kind of stormy night, and we had planned on doing this for a minute. And so when it started raining, we were just like, screw it, we'll just go out there in the rain, wait for it to stop. So we get out there, and of course it's still kind of raining up until about midnight. And as soon as the rain started, everybody got out of their tents and started like moving around a little bit because it was a full moon and a overcast sky. And I seen a stealth bomber silhouetted by the moon. Me and a couple of my buddies, we just happened to be standing there. And of course, there's nothing else to look at out here. And so when the moon came out from behind the clouds, we looked up. And the buddy looked at me and said, what the hell was that? And the other guy said that was a UFO. And I was like, it's not of alien craft. That's just a human craft we don't know about yet. It was 3 or 4 years later, they did that big reveal in Time magazine. I walked into the library at school, and they had it sitting up next to the door. And I walked by and stopped, backed up, and looked over at it, grabbed it, went running down the hall to my buddy's homeroom class. Was like, bam, there it is, bud. I told you.
Yeah, that's a very legitimate thing. You know, it's to have seen something like that out there and just no one knows about them yet. Because everything that you see, you got to figure. I mean, the spacecrafts, or at least the aircraft that you see from the military, is probably all technology that's 50 years old. You know, and they just put it into play. The stuff that you don't see, I mean, you won't see, and then, I don't know.
Right. And if let's say the federal government, hypothetically, the federal government had a reason to make you believe in aliens, they would just go to the prototype department, whip out a handful of these new drones and do it. And you would definitely be believing in aliens by the end of the week. That's not their drive. Their drive is to leave the mystery open so that when people see that technology, they go, aliens, instead of saying, hey, wait a second, that's Sergeant Pearl from the 3rd Infantry.
It's good, too, because, when, the military, it needs its people. And when they go ahead and they send up one of these experimentals, and, the kids see it, people see it, gets their imaginations going, and it gives them that driving force to kind of make that technology or understand that technology. And I saw this kind of mentality when I went to a lot of the Star Trek conventions. And I got to meet Scotty from the old Star Trek. And MIT gave him an honorary engineering degree. And they told him, when our engineering students were asked, why did you want to become an engineer? Well, all the students of that time said, look, I want to be like Scotty.
Because we don't have powder, Captain. We want to make sure we're going to have enough power.
So you have this one man who sparked this whole revolution of engineers out there. So, so there's a person doing it. Now, if the government wants to do that, and, they send out these little things like this saying, hey, look what's possible. And, they don't want to broadcast it over the news and let everyone know. No, they want to let their people know.
A good time. That's all I got to say. I might take a little probing on the right evening with the right prompting and a little bit of alcoholic endeavors.
Well, yeah, no, I believe that actually happens where they leak stuff like that out so people can actually see it to get their interest going. Because think about it. You're a 10-year-old kid, you're a boy or 12-year-old boy, you look up and you see something that looks like it's out of the Star Wars movie. You see it like that, it's possible. You're gonna want to build one of those things. You're gonna want that lightsaber, you know.
You remember you remember the I can't remember which one of the James Bond was it that where he used the rebreather thing in his mouth. You remember that one? Was that Moonraker or oh God,
I haven't watched him in so long I don't remember.
Yeah, it's been a minute for me too. Anyway, there was one where they faked having a rebreather, and during the shooting of it, their prop guy was picked up by the CIA and brought in for questioning because they firmly believed he had developed a rebreather.
Really?
Just in case we wanted. We saw some of the test rips y'all did under the scene of some, but he had to work it out. Like, look, man, we're really good at editing. A freaking hummingbird wouldn't catch us. We're really good. Hello, Barbie.
Hey.
I'm gonna try to fix that. Turn all of this crap off.
She looks kind of mean tonight.
Would you stop it for a second?
No, I just got home. I just got back from walking to the store and back.
There you go.
You're not going to yell at me or anything, are you?
Sure. I got time.
I'm not.
Where are you working? You say you're a chef, right? You're a head chef?
No. She gives head.
Oh,
sorry.
None of that either. None of that.
Now you said you saw something peculiar, didn't you? In a lake, some kind of white plastic apparatus that you couldn't explain.
Me?
Yeah, because you piqued my interest when you explained something that you saw on a trip someplace in the wood, something sticking out of a lake, and I tried to get the color of this object out of you because I wanted to compare the color from a PVC light to a space station kind of a light.
I know what you mean. It
Bro,
totally
this
been
chick
that.
don't remember what she had for breakfast. No way in hell she can remember which live stream you're talking about.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna have to go back and dig. Thanks a lot.
Well, she'll find it. She'll find out you're talking about
I will
somebody else. It's you that's mistaken, not her.
I bring this up because there are so many interesting things out there that we just don't know about or see on a regular basis. We live in these clusters, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the margins and on the outside of where we live, and we just don't see a lot of it. And I think that's where a lot of the UFOs and things that's where all that stuff is. It's not going to be in the clusters. It's happening out there.
I've always kind of had an issue with that because out there it can get pretty lonely out here, as it were. But the farther east and the farther west you go, the more generally occupied the land is. Closer you get to the coast or a lake or a decent sized stream or river, the more populated the land gets in almost every case. Places in Kentucky that you cannot access without a freaking mountain climbing pack. Like, no bullshit. There's no roads up there.
Yep.
Kentucky sounds scary. Anyway.
And there's people that live there.
I've been in Louisiana, where there's places like that, where there's towns like on, full towns on dirt roads. But I'm talking about the 1990s here. I'm sure it's changed a little bit since then, but it's there. There's a lot of things happening out there, and a lot of them don't like communication. They don't have their cell phones. They got their tower knocked down. So there's a lot of things going on.
I'll tell you one thing, and this is for absolutely certain. There are entire families. I would almost go as far as calling them little tribes or cults of people that live so far completely off grid. They've never met a census taker. They're not on any registry anywhere. Most of these people aren't vaccinated in any way because their children have never been to town. And people look at me like I'm nuts when I say that. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. These people drove a bus off in there until you can't drive no farther. And then they dug it out and drove further. They were going away and they made it.
Yeah.
She knows she's up in North Carolina, man. There's some hollers up there that never have been trod by the hand of man, bro. Like, there's places people don't go.
Some people that live past where my parents live that like there's a school bus back into like the deepest recess of the crack side of the mountain, possibly finagle that piece of hunk of metal in there, and then like from there it like blooms out into this vast like complex of like trailers, and it's a North Carolina thing. It's a down in the South thing, really.
I got a cousin lives up in North Georgia, and he bought a plot of land just above the interstate back before the interstate was built. Right. So he didn't realize he was buying inaccessible land. It was accessible when he bought it, and then suddenly became inaccessible by anything in this county. He has to leave the county. And because of the nature of the terrain, you really can't build a road in there. So what he decided to do was build a drag crane at the top of the mountain. And he would pull up the trailers that he wanted up there. He would literally have them pull over on the side of the road, come down with a couple of cables, hook up front and back, and drag it up the mountain with a steam, like a steam shovel engine, turning all the stuff.
That's pretty freaking cool.
There's probably 14 or 15 old buses, trailers, bits and pieces of houses people could fit on a truck in the middle of the night.
It is so weird too how that like you wouldn't think that that's a thing. No, that's really a thing. There'd just be pieces of a house for no good reason, still intact, that just gets moved. And
yeah, I used to make money doing that. Yeah, when for about 3 years, I didn't want to work for anybody in particular, and so I decided, okay, I let a bunch of different previous bosses that I had know. I was like, I'll move anything. Just if you need something moved, call me. And I called a buddy. I had a buddy with a big flatbed and another one with a big ass rig. And when needed something moved, they'd call me up. I'd go over there, take a look at it, figure out how to lift it, put it on the trailer, and we drive away with it. I once moved a cotton barn, a cabin, and a cow barn into the same location and made one house out of it. And if you pull up on that house today, the only giveaway that it started as a cotton shack, a tobacco house, and a barn is the fact that the right side's a hair longer than the left side, but that's because there's actual 12-inch sill beams in there, and we didn't want to cut them.
Yeah.
They don't really do that anymore, do they? Move houses.
Down here we do.
Yeah.
Really?
But they have to be well constructed, and anything after about 1950 is not really mobile. Now you get a hold of one of these old cotton barns down here with like the beams and seals and all that crap. You can come along that so much wherever you want to. Once you get it separated from the ground, it ain't gonna fall apart. That shit's like lagged together. It's crazy strong.
Yeah, I saw it a few times up north, and then they pretty much shut the town down, and then you'd have to pay for every pole, and it was something outrageous too. I mean, it was hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars per pole that they had to disengage and put back on again.
What's up, Joe? Cool. Welcome to the show, bud. Good to see you. I reckon the biggest thing I ever moved was a bulldozer that wouldn't run.
Would you move that with?
They make these jacks that'll lift train cars. So we got a handful of them things and did it one click at a time, basically.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing though, before we started up on that crap, because of the type of jacks that we were using, they didn't really have a good footer, and so we had to build like a temporary footer for each of the jacks. so that we could jack it up enough to get the truck under it. Because there wasn't no moving that motherfucker. Like, all we could do was lift it straight up. That was it. That's our only hope. Lift it up far enough that you can back the trailer under it and then let it back down real slow.
Okay.
All right. So now, what is the last species of animal found in the U.S.?
As in the most recent?
The most recent.
Unknown, recently discovered.
Yes.
I understand it. There was recently a frog discovered in Louisiana that is derived from the poison dart frogs of South America, but looks like a normal green tree frog in North America and is otherwise unrelated to the tree frogs in North America. So essentially, either a non-poisonous version of a poison dart frog was released in America and then went extinct in middle and down there in South America, or since the dawn of time, these green tree frogs have been running around down here and we just didn't know the difference, which is possible.
Now, how about mammals?
Mammals. I can't really name a mammal, but there have been a few distinctions made that have created new genuses as not new animals, but we've divined the fact things like hyraxes are more closely related to elephants than freaking other mice type items, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. Has a new species of animal ever been founded in North America? As long as I'm still alive, Swiss, it won't be extinct. Tell you what.
As long as you're making money, stay on that grind and don't sweat it. We're having a good time over here. There's a link over there if you don't get busy. Got time.
I was wondering what happened with the guest. I was like, damn, did I already miss the guest? And I was like an hour into it, and I was like, I guess I missed her.
Shit happens. Life sucks. We deal with it. The show must go on. We got to do stuff.
It does.
I mean, otherwise we get bored, and that's just not permissible.
And that's why I walked to the store.
What species is even native to North America?
Camels, horses.
How do we know?
When you say native, what do you mean? Because I could
From
make
here, only from here.
I could make an argument based off of geographic locations and fossils and whatnot that there's no such thing as a native species anyway. For instance, take the plains buffalo, one of the largest megafauna that still roam North America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you find it strange that there are billions of the damn things, right? Does that seem like a normal speciation type thing that happens? Shouldn't there be like a northern plains buffalo and a southern plains buffalo and maybe a swamp buffalo and maybe an eastern buffalo and a mountain buffalo? You get what I'm saying? Desert buffalo. Instead of all of them being the great bison, they're all one fucking species. Now, there are a few different species of bison. Yeah. Doesn't that look more like an invasive species and less like a natural phenomenon?
Don't we hunt them?
Damn near to extinction, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
We hunt them.
What?
Buffalo.
The bison. Yeah. Okay, but okay. So I got a question. Okay, where does all the cattle that we eat come from?
It's just
I know that sounds like really like Barbie, but no, like I never see the cattle farms. Like, where's all the cattle farms? Where's the fucking?
They're stock farms. They're all over Texas, to be honest. Like you'd be surprised how many stock farms are in Texas. Kind of like how North Carolina, South Carolina is with pig farms.
Yeah,
that, but they grow steer up to a certain size and then sell them to people for their home farms.
Okay.
And like in New York, I know if anything that's north of like Syracuse, You get into huge cattle ground with Black Angus. I mean, just everywhere. I mean, you have to. So you got your big city. You go an hour outside of the big city north. It's all cattle land.
Mm-hmm.
It's all cows, beef.
I got no hate for the bisons. I was just pointing out that much like the passenger pigeon, which is another one of those species that did not well, you give us links, AJ. Don't just hold out on us. That's mean. The passenger pigeon occupied such an enormous section of the North American ecosystem that its extinction eradicated various types of forest environments that no longer exist. That is to say, so many passenger pigeons would come through a particular area that if a tree was not well rooted into the ground, it would topple it. So many passenger pigeons would fly through an area that the poop was capable of caving in roofs that were not steep enough to make it slide off.
I'm telling you, that's something to be proud of.
I'm just saying, when people try to think about, flocks of birds today and they try to think about the passenger pigeon, they're like, oh, look, it looks like that. No. We are talking about stories of passenger pigeon flocks coming over Chicago and blotting out the sun for 4 days. You could walk around and pick up dead passenger pigeons that ran in the buildings and shit, and no one was hungry during that time.
Now, what is this here? The Poles heifers? Are you talking about Polish people, or are you talking about like actual animals here?
Polar bears live in Russia, and Poles heifers now blanket. Yeah. They used to be. It's a European type of beef cow. And they used to be all kinds of popular, but nowadays it's Black Angus that's real popular. Like you can't find a cow farm around here where they ain't got at least a handful of Black Angus out there.
See, where I used to go hunting up in the Thousand Islands, they were all Black Angus farms, and they oh my god, those farms smoked incredible. I mean, it just smoked good. You drive past them, and it's just like you want to pull over.
Like
yeah, it's just the most incredible. It's like it was like walking into a steakhouse. The smell between the leather and the beef. It's just so you're in heaven.
I kind of feel like you and I have different opinions on what heaven might look like, bud, and damn sure different opinions.
Yeah, I know. While I was saying that, I was trying to stop myself from getting into that whole discussion there because that could have been taken the wrong way.
Yeah, dude, we could have taken
that could be taken a really bad. That could go to a real bad place. But that's.
But we love you.
I was in the good place, not the bad place.
No, I get what you're saying. When it really comes down to it, a well-managed farm is not stinky. What makes a stinky farm is too many of too much of one thing. So you'll have battery farms like pig farms and specifically medium-term stock farms of various descriptions, whether it's goats or cows, dairy cows, whatever. These are all animals that are herded into a really tight environment and then utilize mechanical systems to carry the waste away. This tight environment doesn't permit proper biodegradation of the offal that comes from these animals, and you end up with a big stinky cesspool right downstream. That is inevitable as long as you're doing battery farms. It does not matter whether it's a goat, a sheep, a pig, or people. People do the same thing. That's what sewers are. It's the same thing.
Yeah, so the ranchers up north, they didn't have like pens. They had areas on the side of the mountain. It wasn't like block farm, Lego farming. Yeah.
I totally get the difference. My point is that it doesn't matter whether it's chickens or ducks or turkeys. If you're battery farming, you will end up with a cesspit. It will stink. A well-managed farm has no vile smells on it. Now, at least if it does, it doesn't last long because it balances itself out. That's why you're not supposed to run just cows on the prairie. You're supposed to do cows, ducks, chickens, goats, sheep. Go look at your Stone Age farming plan, and put it all together into one, and then rotate your crops around. You're just like you do your animals. You'll do just fine.
Animal husbandry took us into the new age. Giant. Now, why'd you drop down, AJ?
Because she hates us all equally.
Yeah, see, this is disturbing to me. I mean, she'd even show her face. She's hiding behind a mask, hiding behind words. Well, I don't even know if she typed those letters.
Who are they, and can I have their phone number?
2025.
87.
You're down, Em.
Yeah, you're muted.
You're muted. Who are you talking to, Em? There's someone
She's
there.
No,
The voices in her
those
head.
87 animals. I want to know what those 8 alleged animals that are going to go extinct, what those are going to be.
I don't. I'm sorry. I have difficulty believing that anyone has enough of a grip on the various speciation on the planet to say any particular animal is going to go extinct within a given period of time. We may no longer be able to find them, but I have my doubts on whether or not the ivory-billed woodpecker is extinct. The Carolina pigeon. Yeah, the ivory-billed.
Because occasionally I have heard them.
The ivory-billed woodpecker is virtually identical to the pileated woodpecker. The only difference is that the ivory-billed woodpecker has a white beak. So while there have been literally thousands of sightings of the ivory-billed woodpecker, the pileated woodpecker is so freaking common that every single sighting is immediately chalked up to a pileated woodpecker. But the ivory-billed woodpecker is a good 2 ounces heavier, a couple of inches taller. And when you see a pileated woodpecker, you're like, wow, that thing's really big. As I understand it, when you see an ivory-billed, it's like, holy shit, that's a big woodpecker. It's big.
It's been a minute since I actually seen one that I could see reasonably.
So you end up mistaking them for another a bird, like a hawk or something like that.
Well, no, you
you
mistake them for pileated. I mean, the only real difference between a pileated woodpecker and an ivory-billed woodpecker is the color of the bill. That's it. Breeding, they might have been able to interbreed. We do not know. We haven't had an ivory-billed woodpecker in captivity in over 100 years. Since, I think 1920, 1919, something like that.
So
but
really don't
it
know
was,
a lot about the bird.
That was in between the world wars, and there wasn't a whole lot of interest put into natural discovery during the time period. It was more interested in warfare and whatnot. And by the time anybody looked back, there were no known specimens of the ivory-billed woodpecker. Not saying they simply do not exist. It's just we can't go catch one.
I'd like to see how a black bear can live in Mexico with that heat. That's a big animal.
Yeah. I like the cinnamon bears. Have you checked them out? They're subspecies of the black bear and brown bear. They were thought to be a crossbreed between like Kodiaks and brown bears, but it turns out they're just a color morph, a localized color morph of the brown bear called cinnamon bears. They're kind of a high yellow color.
Mountains.
What were those? Was those the list of ones that were, or the ones that were supposed to? I thought the Asian elephant was.
These are the other ones that are not the Asian. Sumatran elephant is down to like 90 freaking known examples. Sumatra is another one of those places we might find a thylacine if we look hard enough. Over there, Borneo, Sumatra, that whole area.
And I ain't
Also
around
house
with these names, not get on that.
Eastern lowland gorilla, the red wolf. Red wolf.
That would be a big loss right there. To lose any of the felines, the lions, any of them, that'd be a hell of a thing. That'd be a big loss.
And yeah,
The African lion. We got enough of them in Dubai. We could probably repopulate them.
They've reached pet status.
Yeah, dude. I was poaching clips off of this dude who had a pet lion, and there was this one. It got took down with no explanation, but I didn't even get an email on this one. It just vanished. Dude walks into his bathroom and has to lean over a sleeping lion to run the water in the tub. As soon as he turns the water on, the lion flinches. He flinches. The lion grabs him and just his whole leg just and then let him go. And he just kind of punched him in the ear and went back to running his bath. But his whole leg disappeared into that damn thing's mouth, and I was like,
Well, that's a big kitty.
that's what she said.
Yeah, that's not something you want to see, huh?
so
That's like getting a bad shot of chicken. What's that?
I don't know why people want to do that. Get exotic pets. Like, there's a reason why the animal is habitat is naturally out fucking door. Period. There's no manual that says how to domesticate. You're not supposed to domesticate these fucking animals. That's just common sense, I thought.
So it took about 100 years here to say that the mountain gorilla existed.
And furthermore, we have no fossils from the mountain gorilla. We can't prove that it existed up until 1898, when a first specimen of a skull and some pelts were brought into the English museum over there, and they were like, oh, mountain gorillas. Previous to that, we don't find gorilla skeletons in the ground. There's no fossils to prove that they were ever there. Just saying, like.
Well, that goes with any kind of primate, doesn't it?
Most do live in environments that are not conducive to making fossils. So especially like a heavily forested environment in the equator that rains 3 or 4 times a day, like those cloud forests over there, that's not a good place for bone to form. Oh, I missed one. My bad. That one. Philippine crocodile, the cockapoo, antbirds, California condor, red-headed vulture, Indian white-rumped vulture, slender-billed vulture, Indian vulture. We've covered a couple of these.
Mariana fruit dove.
Fruit dove, Mariana. Well, okay, right. I see where this is coming from. A lot of these animals are indigenous to like a single island, or only in. Well,
yeah, I
I'm
wonder about that with the amphibians, just because like especially Western North Carolina, they have like a huge variety of like different kinds of. They're known for that. So like they think is like the one, those salamanders and stuff, we probably have them here too. They're just harder to find.
Well, we have some in our general southeasterly range called hellbenders.
Yeah.
That get fucking enormous. There's stories. They're all anecdotal and we have no real evidence, but there's old school yellow journalism newspapers back before Photoshop was a thing, where they would like take a picture of a little old mud puppy and then juxtapose it into a double impression so that it looks like it was 10 foot long and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of those are absolutely hilarious. Some of them are really badly done. Some of them aren't so badly done. They're just, not
They're
not
just
what they pick.
that great.
And then you find out after seeing all those stupid pictures that there's a 6-foot freaking salamander in North Georgia. He'll take your foot off at stump. He does. They exist in North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama, and northern Mississippi.
Yeah, that's why I don't do lakes.
It's not a lake thing. These are actually sort of fast-moving creek
I would
critters.
say no.
Just no.
No, I'm not trying to get
I
in
want
that.
one. I
No,
want
no,
one
no.
so bad. I grew up out there in that swamp. Ever since I found out the hellbender was a thing, I carried a little fucking leash just in case I come across one. I'm not even joking. We have sand. We have too much sand here. There's nowhere for them to lay eggs
don't
and
have
stuff
sand.
here. They need rocks and shit, fast flowing water
We
and
don't want
stuff.
that. In our
Please.
rivers and shit. I was trying to read that super fast.
It's the same one I popped up earlier. I didn't realize it.
I'm super behind. Period. Just in general, in life, everything.
You ain't the only one, chick. I've been trying to decide, do I want to sit around here for another week just blowing smoke rings in the air, or am I going to go to the beach to go hang out and be cool? Right. So I have to wait until after all my shows are done. And I was going to leave like a couple of days ago, and we were waiting on some mail to come through, and I had to redo my tag for my truck. So I stuck around a few days, and it turned into a few more days. So I figured, okay, well, I'll wait until after the blast radius tomorrow, and I might cut out tomorrow night. I don't know.
How long of a drive is that? It's not that far.
Robbie, I figured I'll go eat me some shrimps, have me some crabs.
I'm not. I did.
I'll eat the boogs as long as they're shrimp, dude. You make the boog shrimp. We got a deal. We got a deal. We're gonna have to talk about the owning nothing part, but them boogs are okay with me if they're shrimpses. I grew up on shrimp, honey. Like, we used to go to the coast every summer to go gather up as many damn shrimp as we could.
My daughter probably thinks I'm crazy. She likes seafood. I'm not a big seafood person. I never have been, really. I never have been. And I've tried it.
I appreciate it, Mr. and Mrs. Knack. Y'all come back now, you hear? I've actually got a little more of this hair video over here. You want to see it?
What is that? What is it? What's up? Yeah. Carry on.
We're talking about the Dover Demon currently.
Okay.
Confirmed seeing something unusual. Cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman, who investigated the sighting soon after they were reported, found the witnesses credible. He interviewed them within a week of the sightings and concluded that there was no evidence of a hoax.
Hey, Brandon, welcome in, bud.
Folk monster. The folk monster, also known as the Boggy Creek monster, is a creature reported in and around the town of Folk, Arkansas. The creature is often described as a large, hairy ape-like being similar to Bigfoot, with sightings dating back to the early 1970s and even earlier. One of the most famous encounters occurred in 1971 with the Ford family. Elizabeth Ford reported that the creature reached through a screen window while she was sleeping. Her husband and his brother chased the creature, firing several shots at it, but no traces of blood were found. The encounter left physical evidence, including 3-toed footprints near the house, scratch marks on the porch, and damage to a window in the siding. This sighting sparked substantial interest and led to numerous other reports and footprint findings, although their authenticity couldn't be really confirmed. In 1971, 3 individuals, D.C. Woods, Jr., Wilma Woods, and Miss R.H. Sedgas, reported seeing an ape-like creature crossing U.S. Highway 71. Following the Ford sighting, public interest surged, linked to a $1,090 bounty on the creature and several unsuccessful tracking attempts. The story of the folk monster gained national attention with the 1972 release of the docudrama horror film The Legend of the Boggy Creek, directed by Charles B. Pierce. The film dramatized the Ford family's encounter and other sightings, contributing significantly to the alleged popularity. This is also the video that's playing on the screen. Beast of Bray Road. The Beast of Bray Road, also known as the Wisconsin werewolf, is a mysterious creature reported in
All right. The dog man. This is one of those critters that forever has bothered me. And let me explain why. I have crawled through the woods morning, noon, and night. I've been out there. I've never been terrified, scared of the things out there. They're all natural creatures. I believe if that thing was crawling around out there, I would be scared of it.
Have you
But
seen it?
no, I've never encountered anything I would call a dog man. I did have a couple of really strange things happen that I can't explain, but it didn't have anything to do with the dog. It just smelled like a dog. All right. So I went out to go camping with these guys, and I brought the fucking bait in a late trip in because I had shit I had to do before I went camping. They all went and called me up. They're like, "Hey, we didn't bring enough bait or whatever," and I was like, "Okay, fine." So I go by and get like a little bag of minnows and a little thing of crickets and a thing of worms and your basic smorgasbord of we're creek fishing on the edge of a river. Head out there, and I've got a little bit more than I'd planned on bringing, and so this is going to take 2 trips. I have to pack my entire tent, food, everything I'm bringing in with me, and then all of this bait stuff plus some additional food that had been asked for. And so this is definitely going to be a 2-trip thing. So I stacked everything up on the back of the truck, grabbed my backpack, a couple of the little bait boxes, and threw a tarp over it and went to go drop off my stuff. I did not set anything up. No joke. I walked up, set the bait on the cooler, dropped the thing, and went back to the truck to go get like the pizza and the other stupid stuff that they had asked for. And when I get there, my stuff is stroked. Everything was pretty much where it was supposed to be, except the pizza, which for all the world looked like something had scooped its hand under the bottom and just flung it straight up in the air. The pizza itself was gone, but there were bits of cheese and stuff all around that truck. As like I said, like it had been thrown up in the air. This pizza had not been cooked. It was a frozen pizza.
Oh God, that's it.
The wrapper was ripped apart and still sitting in the truck, but the pizza itself looked like it had been slung around like a frisbee. And in my head, I pictured 3 guys standing here throwing that thing and laughing their asses off that we're fucking up their camping trip, blah, 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 blah. Not a single footprint went anywhere near that truck. And I immediately blamed my brother.
Why?
Because he's the only person I personally knew that would have thought about removing his footprints in a way that's untrackable, right? Like I know for a fact he could do it, and he's the only person I know off the top of my head that would know how to accomplish that there.
Okay, I have so many questions.
So,
moving
on. But here's the thing that threw me. For all the fucking world, when I got back to the truck, it smelled like there was a wet dog hiding under the truck, like a soaking wet, ginormous freaking sheepdog was just right there. And there was no evidence of any such at all. No footprints, no tracks, none of that. My pizza was gone. Some shit was straight around a little bit. Even like the little cans of whipped cream and stuff were separated out of the package, but not actually opened.
Well,
the 2 little pie tins things that we got had been ripped open on one end in at least one case, but the other one was left completely unmolested, except it was moved. I'm telling you, it was either Dogman or my brother, and both of these creatures smelled just like skunk ape, so that works. My brother smells horrendous, man. It is impressive. It is truly, truly impressive. I have respect for any woman capable of dealing with that.
Bless it.
Right?
Bless it. Sense will give you away, man, especially if it's people, some people got a good sense of smell. And like,
oh, yes.
I have a friend, like me and my friend used to work in a perfume store.
And it's not so much how sensitive your sense of smell is, but how well you identify foreign smells where you are. When you
Yeah.
first show up in an area, the area has its own smell, and then the individual components of that smell are kind of spread around in the area, whether it's trees, Spanish moss, the raccoon piss on a limb over yonder that you can't see. There's this, and when you show up, you naturally bring in a new scent. But if you go into that area and become a part of it, and yes, I am implying that you roll around in the mud here.
Yeah.
Once that mud dries, you are now part of that area and you don't smell like you're out of place.
Yeah. But then you'll immediately recognize something that's foreign coming into that. You will be like,
Correct.
what? I'm really good at that. Like it does not. Yeah.
I used to creep around. Black bear hunters used to come out there a lot because, black bears. And we had a wide season for black powder and bow hunting, but not normal firearm hunting. And so the people who came out there were either using a bow or black powder rifle. I would know they were coming in a couple of different ways. One, you can smell new clothes. They would go and buy brand new camouflage kit to come out here in and smell just like a Target or a Walmart, right? You can smell cologne, hairspray, hair jelly, treatments. A woman who has her hair bleached smells like ammonia for weeks afterwards, but you wouldn't notice it unless you're in an environment where that type of scent's noticeable, right?
Yeah.
So a couple of days in the woods and suddenly you can smell her walking up on you because
You're like, what is it? What the fuck? Yeah, that's me.
it's just out of place. There is no
Right.
ammonia in this place. It's immediately worked off by the environment. So it's odd to smell straight ammonia. You look around, it's like, oh, right. She's got blue hair.
That's me.
Let's see. What was the oh yeah, cigars. These people love their cigars, right? So a man who smokes a cigar at night and just, does a hoe bath in the morning still smells like cigars when he goes out hunting deer. And the guys who smoke cigars while they're hunting really blow my mind. They're not hunting. They're just hanging out waiting for the next drinking bout to start.
Yeah.
Hey, chick, you know what I want you to
There's
do?
levels to that shit.
You know what you're going to do? You're the only one here. You got to do it.
Do what?
You're going to talk us out.
Okay. Don't forget to thumb it up, thumb it down, tickle it. It makes the big man happy. It makes me happy. It'll make you feel better about yourself. Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. Absolutely.
Sorry. Good news, though. We're going to have to move the party somewhere a little bit more private, but you're all invited. Lorenzo will give you the details. Yeah!
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, baby, you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't